Um, the month of October is very important to me. Um, Last year, I was here at downtown, a radio station, and I told my story for the very first time to public, and it was it was a really good feeling to get that off my chest. It was something I was carrying around for some time. Um,
Do you feel like you've made an opening in your life now that you've stepped out on faith and opened up and have actually touched? I'm pretty sure at this point you've touched many, many, many victims, or dealing with victims that are dealing with domestic violence or going to, or they think they're currently in a domestic violence situation. How do you handle that now, being a representative and a survivor of it? How can you continue to help others?
um, I have been speaking on podiums. I've been writing. I wrote a play recently. I finished that recently. I have that's called Mississippi Smile. That's supposed to be coming out soon. Um, I've also been speaking on several podiums on speaking on the subject of domestic violence. Um, Almost everything that I do, I try to make sure I'm sending out a message
Hmm.
and helping other women, men, and children. Domestic
Right.
violence is not just with a woman and man. Uh, I was also recently in a play, and I had to read a monologue. Um, the play,
My sister's
My
my
Sister's
sister's keeper.
Keeper.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Jody Austin.
Hey,
Tiffany
Jody.
Dean. Yes. My Sister's Keeper. That was a very emotional for me. I did a monologue, and it was a monologue about lost love, like love lost. And I sort of turned it into a domestic violence survivor.
Okay.
It was basically a woman that was in love, and she was in a really bad relationship, and I turned that character into a domestic violence survivor. Well, she wasn't really a survivor at that point because I had my eye made up and everything, had a
Right.
black
She was still
eye.
enduring it.
Yes, she was still in her situation. So I try to send a message almost in almost everything that I do.
Okay. Because as an artist, because now it becomes an art,
Hmm.
to express the art, but knowing how that pain feels, that has to be a battle. To
Yes.
turn it on and turn it off, but emotionally,
Hmm.
you've gone through it at some point your own self. So how can someone like yourself take something that was so tragic to you, and you're still surviving, and going through it, and now you can move on to help others? How can you, even doing a play,
Hmm.
how can you actually turn it on and turn it off?
Well, that was my first time actually acting, so it was hard
Okay.
because I had to turn it on, and it was hard for me to turn it off
Hmm.
because I was actually digging to a place that was reality to me.
Hmm.
It wasn't something that I had to do research on. So it was hard.
I know it had to be because as an actor, you try to follow what someone has gone, to portray that
Yes.
character.
Hmm.
So to portray that character, sometimes you have to put yourself in that place
Yes.
and the mindset also in that place.
Yes.
So for you, doing a monologue based upon something that's very real
Hmm.
to a woman, boy, or girl daily, that has to be tough to juggle.
Yes.
Um, so I commend you because
Thanks.
honestly, going through the struggle over a period of years, and you know what? Let's let the audience know what your struggle was. For those that don't know, I would like, Camellia to actually explain what her tragedy was, so maybe someone out there could possibly be going through it right now, and then you can hear from her story how she actually was able to walk away from it.
Okay, well, domestic violence with me started with me as a child watching my mother go through domestic violence, and at the the hands of my father. I watched that on a daily basis: verbal, physical, emotional, all types of abuse. And then later on in life, I had my own children, and I got into a bad relationship, several bad relationships, and my oldest son witnessed me go through a number of bad relationships, and as a result, he watched me, and later on, my son is an adult now. He was incarcerated for domestic violence. Um, I told three of those. I sort of gave you a little synopsis on three of those stories because I'm basically speaking on behalf of the cycles of abuse. Me watching my mom, then I went through it, and then my son watched me, and he became an abuser. So recently I had a grandson, and I
Congrats.
felt like at this point, I was saying enough is enough. This, it has to stop somewhere. So at that point, last year, I decided to start speaking on the subject. Telling my story, being transparent. It's hard sometimes. That's why I'm stumbling a little, because it still hurts.
It's a transition that
Yeah.
it's a day by day process.
Yes.
I don't think that for a person that has been abused and have watched abuse for several years, you can just walk away from it and or erase it from your mind. It's something that's going to take, as long as the hurt is there, you can still make slow steps in order to get past it.
Yes.
And actually, it's not really getting past it. I believe it's more of just dealing with it, accepting it, and actually being able to feel free and broken from it.
Yes.
So I know of many women and men that have gone through domestic violence have said the channels of it are just so hard.
Yes.
And and can you tell others out there, how does it affect your upcoming relationships or relationships period, whether it's a relationship with a man that you're having or a relationship with a woman? Because sometimes that may affect you from a woman to a woman as well.
Yes.
Like, why didn't someone help me?
Yes. I don't have a lot of friends. I haven't had really any successful relationships, unfortunately. Uh, Not that I don't want one, but it just hasn't happened yet. I felt like, I'm still healing. And I felt like at some points in my life I was choosing men that were similar to my dad.
Yeah.
If I can make a comment, my name is Walil Archer. From a domestic violence standpoint, really without getting into too many details, us growing up, learning each other. Now I'm not talking about physical, break an arm, do bodily injury, put somebody in the hospital, but men and women are different. And I'm not condoning domestic violence. I'm just trying to look at it from a different perspective for anyone that's tuning in. In a way, I haven't had to deal with domestic violence. I mean, we all gonna call each other names because we human. We all gonna be stressed, the pressure of life. So, teaching domestic violence, what would you say is acceptable versus not acceptable? Of course, breaking arms, violence, that sort of thing's not, but we human. So, relationships in a way, what's a perfect relationship? You follow me?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a perfect relationship. And I guess on that note, I couldn't really tell you.
Because since you said that, me as a male, whenever there's domestic violence, I probably did duck it last year. Because I'm sitting here like, oh, I really don't even want to talk. She was like, if you couldn't tell my disposition, she was like, you want to be my co-host? I'm like, no, not really. Because now, since y'all laughing, that's the vibe I like. I was in a relationship where she was violent.
Yeah.
But stress, the pressure, not that it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. But I understand we're not perfect. Things go on. I just felt it was like the communication. So I'm gonna just be transparent with mine. I knew it was close and dear to her. Her house. You put a glass down on her table, she'd have a fit. So when she wanted to get violent against me, I just bothered her stuff. So then we had like a mutual.
Okay.
You don't touch me, I won't break your stuff.
Passive aggressive.
I mean, because again, this is reality. This is life. Some people want stuff perfect, and again, I'm not condoning domestic violence, anything like that. But what's really? We're going to argue. We're going to fight. We're going to cuss. Not. I like to laugh all day long. I like positive. I'm optimistic, but I'm not really realistic because I always just want to smile and think everything peachy cream.
Yeah. I think most of the time when we speak on domestic violence, in the past, it was basically, I'm getting beat up, or, you see the black eye or whatever. But the list is growing every day. Because some of the things I saw on the list, I was like,
Oh, so I remember that conversation. Yeah. It was financial, demanding.
Yes, all kinds of stuff.
It was dictating,
mocking.
Right.
See, and that's what I'm asking. It's no longer, and I don't know because I'm single. I don't live a lifestyle. But to me, it's no longer violence. It seems more so people just not satisfied. He don't satisfy this. He don't do that. He wanna or she. So it's like. I don't know.
So I guess the question would be, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Exactly.
What's acceptable and what's not?
Yes.
Because everyone's going to have that acceptance point where